So hello everyone and welcome to Career Launcher. So I hope you all are aware that every Sunday at 8 p.m. we are having this static GK discussion where we discuss static GK, the concepts with regards to the static GK in detail. Okay. Now this is actually a recorded video because I am on leave because of some reasons. So I'll be, instead of taking a live class, I'm giving you as a recorded video. But please, whenever I'll be asking questions, you have to answer it in the live chat, because you have to assume that actually we are actually in the exam hall or in the and you have to attempt it accordingly. Okay. And let us begin then. So in the last class, we were actually somewhere, I would say here, we were talking about this, right? How many banks were nationalized in India? And I'm sure you must be aware. So we had discussed it, and we had said actually that in 1969 during Indira Gandhi ji time, 14 banks were nationalized, and again in 1980 when again Indira Gandhi ji was the prime minister, we have seen 6 more banks getting nationalized. Okay, this is very famous. Then we had discussed about 1991 LPG reforms, liberalization, privatization, globalization, LPG reforms, and at that time the prime minister of India was, please write in the comments if you know. I'll be very happy to know, because this will be a good revision. So the Prime Minister of India was Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao. Okay. And the Finance Minister at that time was Mr. Manmohan Singh. And we have seen a lot of shifts actually, one from economic perspective, and at the same time somewhere around 1990s when Mr. Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister, we had seen opening diplomatic relations with Israel. This is also very important. Why I'm talking about it? Because recently we have seen actually these things like Israel-Iran conflict and the India's relationship with Israel in the past few years. So that is why this also becomes very important. Opening diplomatic relations means India opened the embassy in Tel Aviv in Israel, and in response to that they opened their embassy in New Delhi. So now we actually exchange ambassadors since 1990s when since the prime ministership of Narasimha Rao. Okay, that is what you should be knowing. So we had discussed this in the last class, in the last portion. Then the next one that we are going to discuss is about fiscal policy. This also we have discussed a little bit. I gave you the idea that fiscal policy is concerned with which of the following, and please answer me in the live chat if you know. So fiscal means financial. Okay, since we are talking about this, let's talk about one more thing. That is, since we are talking about it, there is something called as fiscal year or financial year. So please tell me in the live chat about the fiscal year, when it starts, when it ends. If you know it, please answer me in the live chat. I'll be very happy to know. So basically, because I'll watch the class, and I will watch it if you have commented or not and all, etc. But the thing is actually later on also, after the recorded videos provided, you can write it in the comment section. The answers with regards to this, you can write that question number 9 and you can answer it. Okay, I'll be happy to know that you all have answered it. So basically, financial year or fiscal year starts from 1st April and ends on 31st March next year. For example, let's say we are talking about financial year or fiscal year. Let's say we are actually we are about to enter the April, right? So right now we are actually in fiscal year 2025-2026. This means, or in short, it is written like this: FY26. Okay, this means this is the fiscal year starting from 1st April 2025 to 1st April 2026. Sorry, 31st March 2026, which is about to end very soon. Okay, this is the idea of fiscal year that you should be knowing about. Fine. Now let's talk about some more thing. So fiscal policy is concerned with which of the following, and the right answer is public revenue and expenditure. Now we have discussed it also, like when we discussed in the budget, that 1st February 2025, this year, the government announced the budget, and this budget is for 1st February 2026, the government announced the budget, and this budget is for fiscal year 2026-2027, which means it will start from 1st April 2026 and end on 31st March 2027. Okay, that is what you should be knowing about. Now, so basically, the government announced the budget that they have actually announced what? that whatever will be they've planned it, that whatever will be doing the expenditure in the upcoming fiscal year, and whatever the government is receiving, the idea behind this. So it's actually, budget is about the upcoming financial year, the plan of the government or the finance ministry, because fiscal policy is governed by finance ministry. We have two policy, one is called as fiscal policy and another is called as monetary policy. Okay. So B is the right answer to this question. Public revenue and expenditure is the right answer to this question. Now, when we are talking about budget, the term that is used, I'm sure you must be aware, what is the term that is used for budget in the constitution? And this was actually 1 or 2 years back. I saw this, I think in Jamia exam, or I think in BHU, because somewhere this question was asked. I don't exactly remember the exam, but 2 years back I saw this in some of the law entrance exam, that what is actually the official term for budget and in which article of the constitution this word is mentioned. Okay, so the answer to this question actually is annual financial statement. Annual financial statement, and it is mentioned in article 112 of the Indian Constitution. Okay, this has to be very crystal clear. So this is about the budget, and when we say budget, budget is for the upcoming fiscal year. Similarly, we have something called as economic survey, and this is generally announced 1 or 2 days before the budget is presented. For example, budget is presented this year on 1st February 2026. So 2-3 days before it, the economic survey was released up for the year fiscal year 2025-2026. For the outgoing fiscal year, they releases economic survey, how was the performance, etc. and all in this regard. Okay, so these concepts of budget and economic survey should be crystal clear. And if you want to watch it further about the budget, we have already taken a class. So first of all, please subscribe to our channel. Go to the live section of YouTube, scroll down and you will find it. I think it's almost 1.5 months, 2 months old. So, but you scroll it, you will see it somewhere written. The economic survey class, which I have taken in English. And there are 2 classes of budget, which we have taken on the same YouTube channel. One will be in English, which I have taken, and one is actually, you'll find it in English, which has been taken by Govind sir. So go and watch it. That would be very, very helpful for you. Let's move on to the next one. Which of the following is the world's largest gold consumer? Now, recently, these things have been very much in the news. Right, China has been for many years. It has been actually the largest consumer. Like that is what you should be knowing about. So it keeps on changing it, but just have an idea. Since it came, actually we have discussed it. Let's move on to the next one. What is meant by white label ATM? What is the meaning of it? If you know the answer, please answer me in the live chat. I'll be very happy to know. The right answer is option A, ATMs which are set up by non-banking entities. Okay, so that's what is the right answer to this question. So not only banks, but even there are others like non-banking financial company, etc. I'm sure you must have heard about these things. They also set up some sort of ATMs. So that is actually called as white label ATM. Just have an idea. Now the next one is, since why we are talking about economics news, because if you see the CLAT 2020 previous year question, they had asked about it. So one of the passages talked about foreign exchange reserve, long-term repo operations, forex reserve, long-term repo operations. So it means they can ask questions from economics. They have already given you a hint. So please do not escape economics or business news completely. Which of the following bodies regulates regional rural banks? RRBs are supposed to provide loans. The name itself says in the rural areas, and rural areas for what purpose? Mostly for agriculture. Okay, so of course it is actually regulated by mostly by NABARD, So it actually, the NABARD is entrusted with the responsibility for conducting statutory inspection of state cooperative banks. You can see district central cooperative banks, regional rural banks under Banking Regulation Act. So the regulatory powers continue with the vested of Reserve Bank of India also. So actually both A and B can be an answer. Even RBI can also be correct, because regulated, it can be regulated RBI also, by RBI also. So even A can also be correct. Or I would say the more perfect answer would be, since the word regulated is used, RBI could be the answer, but NABARD actually also has the responsibility to do inspections. Okay. So that is what you should be knowing about. So I would say regulate word is used, so we should go for option A, RBI. Let's move on to the next one. The concept of dual economy is a mixture of what? That's this, you have to answer it actually. And I hope you all are aware of this. So the right answer is traditional agriculture sector and modern industrial sector. And a dual means two. So we are referring to something traditional agricultural sector and modern Indian industrial sector. Like we have primary sector, I'm sure you must be aware. This has to be very crystal clear. Primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. Okay. So primary sector means agriculture sector. Agriculture and allied activities. Allied activities means associated with that. Like poultry, animal husbandry, all will come under here. Secondary sector means you are transferring, moving the raw material into finished goods. Like for example, manufacturing, best example. And tertiary sector is service sector. So please be aware, service sector does not only means IT companies. It also means non-IT things. For example, logistics. The movement of trucks from one place to another, that is actually also comes under service sector. So it's actually quite broad. So that is what you should be knowing. So these concepts of primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector should be crystal clear. Please be aware, when it comes to GDP contribution, this contributes the most. Tertiary sector. But when it comes to employment, more people are here in agriculture sector. Most people. So what it tells us is what we call in economics as a very famous concept. Disguised unemployment. Have you heard this? I'm sure if you have read economics NCERT book in crystal clear format, you must have heard this. Disguised मतलब होता है कि उसको ऐसा लग रहा है. Disguised unemployment. Like it is not very crystal clear, but the person is actually unemployed. And this is we are seeing in agriculture sector, because I think almost still about 45-50% people are in agriculture, but they are hardly contributing around even 20% to the GDP. So what is problematic? Let's say 45 to 50% people are involved, but contributing hardly to maximum 20%, I would say, I think 70-80%, maximum 20% to GDP. What is problematic? So it means many of the people, they're actually, what we use the word, this is the word that is used, marginal productivity zero. And these people are actually called as, they are actually disguised unemployed. What is the meaning of marginal productivity? I'll tell you. For example, let's say this is actually the farm field. This is an agriculture field. Now, in this agriculture field, let's say you are actually, you are using this for rice cultivation. Okay. Now, in this area, for example, you need, let's say 10 people as a labor, agriculture labor. Okay. Now, so now these 10 people are there, but what happens is in their family, actually many people are, this is a land belonging to actually people, I would say a joint family. And this joint family has actually, let's say 20 people. So all 20 are willing to work, but so then people can go and easily work. But what about the other 10? They are not getting job. So what they said, okay, let's do that. Let's get involved in the same rice cultivation. But the thing is, it requires only 10 people, and the other 10 are actually disguised unemployed. They are working, but their productivity is zero. Even if those 10 people will be withdrawn, nothing will be affected, and the productivity will still remain the same. This is called as disguised unemployment. And this is actually the crisis or the problem in India in the agriculture sector. We do not need so many people, but since we do not have actually other alternate, this is actually the problem. And what is the solution? Where the solution lies is, we have primary sector, we have told you, which talks about agriculture and allied activities. Then we have secondary sector, which talks about manufacturing. And then we have tertiary sector. And when we are talking about tertiary sector, this is actually services. So the problem lies here. We are still not very successful here in secondary sector or manufacturing. So what we are supposed to do is actually, we have to promote this further. So that, like for example, the idea of Make in India should be made more successful, so that there should be more manufacturing. Manufacturing has to be made successful in India. Then this will create job. Otherwise, we will have jobless growth, etc. and all. And specifically those manufacturing sector, those companies which are labor intensive industries. Please search on Google about labor intensive sectors, intensive sectors in India. The manufacturing sector. Like for example, labor intensive includes like leather factories, specifically let's say shoemaking, then clothing apparel industries. Okay, even MSMEs are quite labor intensive. Then we have tourism also. And although tourism will come under service sector, but that's what I'm telling you the idea. So the problem of what we use the word jobless growth. Jobless growth means the GDP is growing, but proportionally it is not creating that much jobs. And this is because we have actually a service sector led growth. Because service sector beyond a certain point cannot produce a lot of jobs. We call it a service sector led growth. So the place where we are missing is actually in the manufacturing sector. Okay, this is what you should be knowing about. Okay. So here we are talking about the concept of dual economy, which is a mixture of traditional agriculture sector and modern industrial sector. This is actually what we should be knowing it. A is the right answer to this question. Okay, let's move on further. The National Stock Exchange is located where? Okay, a very interesting question. I'm sure you must be aware this is actually very easy question. Now, we have two very famous stock markets, although we have other stock markets also, but National Stock Exchange and Bombay Stock Exchange are very famous because these are registered and regulated under SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India, which is supposed to regulate stock markets in India. And SEBI was established in 1988, although in 1992 SEBI Act was passed. It's a statutory body, now, and it has statutory powers. Now let's talk about it. So the national, the question I saw actually 2-3 years. This is actually a very favorite question of MHSET exam, and they talk about this oldest stock exchange in India. Not only in India, even in Asia, oldest stock exchange in Asia. And the answer is, what is the answer? And the answer is actually on your screen, and I'm expecting you all to answer it in the live chat. Please keep on answering it. I'll be very happy to know, although it's, we are providing a recorded video, but actually I'll keep on checking it. Okay. So the right answer actually is Bombay Stock Exchange. So the Bombay Stock Exchange actually was established in 1875, and its index is Sensex, sensitivity index. Okay, that is what you should be knowing. And National Stock Exchange, its index is Nifty 50. Okay. Okay, both are headquartered in Mumbai, and Bombay Stock Exchange is Asia's oldest. National Stock Exchange is quite new. It is somewhere around established in 1992. Okay, so this has to be very crystal clear. And when since we are talking about Mumbai, you will find the main headquarters of Securities and Exchange Board of India, RBI, and other offices also. That is what you should be knowing. Now, the next one is actually we are talking about is open market operation refers to what? This is actually pure economics, but why I'm telling you this is linked with repo rate also, etc. Okay, so the right answer actually is, let me tell you, the right answer is sale and purchase of government securities by the RBI. So when RBI sells government security to government or anyone else and buys from there, this is actually called as open market operation. Okay, so government securities means by government bonds. Why I'm telling you, because repo rate also, the concept of repo rate is based on open market operation, and we have seen in actually this question was asked in CLAT 2020 about long term repo operations, LTRO. Okay, so I'll give you a little idea because I think government securities and bonds are very important. So first of all, we have to understand what is a bond. So bond is a debt instrument. Okay. And I'll tell you in a very simple and lucid way. For example, let's say, I'm just giving example, let's say there's some company XYZ. Now, let's say this company XYZ wants to raise money. It needs money. So one way is it can actually dilute the share. The other way is it can take the loans from people. So for example, let's say it wanted to take, let's say 10 crore loans. Rupees 10 crore loan. So instead of asking from the bank, they are actually asking it from the people with the help of bonds. For example, let's say I'm just giving example. They are actually issuing rupees 10 lakh bond, although 10 lakh is a very big amount, but just for understanding purpose, rupees 10 lakh. One bond is costing 10 lakh and they are selling 100 such bonds. So it will be such bonds. It will be of 10 crore. So rupees 10 lakh bonds. Okay, each bond. Let's say they are selling 100 bonds and one bonds you went and bought. It means they will give you a bond of rupees 10 lakh. So you will pay them, you will give them as a loan 10 lakh rupee. And they will give you a bond. There will be a paper है ना. So this will be written 10 lakh, and let's say it will be written that maturity is, let's say, 1 year, and the interest rate is 10%. So after 1 year, you will get, you should go give this bond and you will get back 10 lakh rupees plus 10% interest. That is 11 lakh rupees. Hai na? That's the idea behind this. So if you are purchasing a bond from any company, it means you are giving a loan. Again, if you are purchasing bond from someone, it means you are giving loan to that person. Okay, that is concept of bond. So, but when the government wants to take loan from the people, so the government will send government security, which is actually the bond issued by the government. This is called as government security. Okay. Now, when we're talking about repo rate, I have told you what is repo rate. And if anyone knows, please tell me what is repo rate. I'll be very happy to know. Dekho, whenever we are talking about the concept of repo rate, it actually is repurchase operation or repurchase option. Means you have to repurchase again. They'll buy it again back. Now the idea is like this. I'll tell you. See, I've told you when RBI take loans from the commercial bank. Oh, sorry. When RBI gives loan to the commercial bank, the interest rate it charges, let's say they are asking 3%. This is called as repo rate, right? That is what repo rate. But this is performed under OMO operation, open market operation. Means the RBI will give loan how? How they will give loan? They will purchase actually as government security, right? Or something bond, right? Like say government security they bought and they gave actually 10 crore rupees loan to a bank. The interest rate must be written, let's say 3%. This 3% is actually the repo rate. Okay. This transaction of government security, this is borrowing and selling of government security, purchase and sale. This is called as actually the open market operation. So here, during repo rate transaction, open market operation happens. Now, repurchase operation, it is saying, means you have to repurchase it back. So when banks will actually buy again, since the bank has, like the RBI has bought government security, so they have paid this as a loan. Now, since RBI, the banks have taken the loan, now they'll return it. Let's say after 7 days, they are returning it. So when they are returning it, this government securities will be returned and this 10 crore rupees will be returned back to the RBI along with the interest. Okay, that's why it is called as repurchase operation, that I will repurchase back after 7 days. And this transaction of government security with bank, or in some cases RBI does open market operation with the government also, where government securities are sold and traded, or I would say sold and purchased. This concept is called as open market operation. So this is done even during repo operations also. Okay? So this has to be crystal clear. So generally repo rates are for shorter period. So short term means less than 1 year. For example, it is for 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, etc. But if it is for, let's say, more than 1 year, let's say 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, then it is called as long term repo operation. Long term repo operation. And why I'm explaining this? Because when you see after the 2020 CLAT paper was changed, in pattern the CLAT 2020 asked this question. They talked about LTRO. So your concept of LTRO should be crystal clear, because we have seen questions. Now you cannot say that, okay, like I can skip economics. Please do not even think of that you can skip it. You have to be very crystal clear on this. So B is the right answer to this question. The next is the financial year, or what we call it as fiscal year in the Indian economy, starts from where? I'll be very happy to know. Please tell me. And if you know what, please tell me the quarters of fiscal year. That I'll be very happy to know. So when you're talking about financial year or fiscal year, I have told you. So let me write it. January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Let me write it here. I think I am covering this. So let me write it here. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Take it for January, February, March next year. Now let's say we are actually in 2026, 2027. So it starts from 1st April and it goes like this and it ends there. So this will be fiscal year 2026-27, or what we call it as FY27. Okay. Now, so April, May, June, this will be called as quarter 1. July, August, September will be called as quarter 2. October, November, December will be called as quarter 3. And January, February, March will be called as quarter 4. Okay? Quarter means 1/4. 1/4 of what? 12 months. So it will be 3 months. One quarter will have 3 months. Okay? So quarter 1. So if I write Q1 of FY27, it means I am saying, what is the meaning of this? It means Q1 of FY26-27. This is what it means. And a Q1, it means we are talking here. So here Q1, Q2 and Q3 will be in 2026 and Q4 will be in 2027. So Q1 of FY26-27 means April, May, June of 2026. This means April, May, June of 2026. You have to be very crystal clear. Then we have July, August, September of 2026, October, November, December of 2026, and January, February, March of 2027 is actually Q4. This has to be very crystal clear because I know a lot of people get confused. And when you read, let's say any editorial of the Indo-Indian Express, it will come across like they'll write like this. Let me explain. For example, they will write that GDP growth of Q2 FY27 is projected to be 7.6%. I'm just giving an example. Says IMF. I'm just giving example. I don't know whether this should be true or not, but this is just for hypothetical purpose. What is the meaning of this? Q2 FY27. Q2 FY27. What is the meaning of this? July, August, September of year 2026, not 2027. Why? Because I've told you FY27 means FY fiscal year 2026-27. So Q1, Q2 and Q3 would be here. And Q4 will be here. So this is April, May, June. Q2 is July, August, September. Q3 is October, November, December. And Q4 is January, February, March. Okay? So we're talking about Q2. Right? July, August, September. Q2 of FY27. July, August, September. Okay? This has to be very crystal clear. The concept of fiscal year is very important. Otherwise, the entire idea of the economics, you will not be able to understand. Okay? So the right answer is D, 1st April to 31st March. Okay? Okay, just hold on for a few seconds. Let me change the slide. We'll be having some more discussion of the question. Then we'll stop the class. Okay. I think the slide is visible. Right. So the next is the first Finance Commission of India was set up in which year? And hopefully you all should be answering it. First of all, you have to understand what is Finance Commission of India. Please tell me in the live chat, is it a statutory body? Or a constitutional body? Or I would say neither statutory nor constitutional. Okay. Statutory means made by the law or the parliament. Constitution means it's mentioned in the constitution, and the last one is like neither statutory nor constitution. So the answer is it's a constitutional body. It is mentioned in article. Which article? 280 talks about Finance Commission. So it is set up by president every 5 years generally. And the idea of Finance Commission is to recommend tax devolution between the center and the state. Or I would say the center collects more taxes than states. So different states. So they give back they give a percentage of tax they have collected to the states, and this percentage is actually called as the percentage of tax devolution. Okay? Like for example, last time we had seen 15th Finance Commission and it had recommended 41% tax devolution. Okay? So 41% of whatever the total tax the center is collecting, it will actually give it to the states. And then further those states will distribute it. We are not going in that detail how the states distributes. There's a horizontal tax devolution formula also, but right now that will be very much in detail. Now the question is, the first Finance Commission was set up when and who was the chairman of that? So the answer is D, 1951, under Mr. K. C. Yogi. Okay, that is what you should be knowing. Now again one more question. 15th Finance Commission has already recommended. It was led by Mr. N.K. Singh, former IAS from Bihar cadre, and it recommended 41% tax devolution. Now we are having 16 finance commission that has been set up, and you have to tell me who is the chairman of that. If you know the answer, I'll be very happy to know. So the right answer is Mr. Arvind Panagaria is the chairman of he was actually the first vice chairman of Niti Aayog when Niti Aayog was established on 1st January 2015. Okay. So now Mr. Arvind Panagaria is the 16th Finance Commission chairman. That is what you should be knowing about him. And I think he is the chancellor of Nalanda University also. He had served as chief economist of Asian Development Bank, faculty of Department of Economics, University of Maryland. बहुत जगह है ना. So last one, the 15th Finance Commission we have discussed. Mr. N.K. Singh is the chairman. Now the next is which of the following group of articles gives the concept of right to equality in India? Now this actually is a very conceptual question regarding fundamental rights. And let me see if you are able to answer this conceptual question or not about the fundamental. Like you can rote learn it, but the idea actually flows from the concept of fundamental rights. That is what I could say. ऐसे तो आप रट भी सकते हो, रट के आंसर बता सकते हो, but if you know it, the right answer actually is option B, है ना? Article 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. ठीक है? That is what you should be knowing. So for example, Article 14 talks about equality before law and equal protection of law. Currently, I'm not explaining it because it is very much in detail. 15 and 16 talks about no discrimination. That is what I would say on the basis of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth. However, they talk about some sort of, I would say, positive intervention, or what we call it as indirectly. They actually give the concept of reservation also. That in certain cases, reservation can be given to SC, STs, OBCs, and women, children. Special provision, I would say. Article 15, clause 5, 15, clause 6, 16, clause 5, 16, clause 6 talks about special provisions in favor of women, children, backward class, etc. Or I would say socially economic backward class. Article 17 talks about abolition of untouchability. Very important. Abolition of untouchability. Then Article 18 talks about abolition of titles. Means the concept of Sir, Rai, Bahadur, etc. and all which were earlier given, that created an artificial distinction, and it was against the concept of equality. Okay? So the right answer is option B. Article 14 to 18 talks about right to equality. This is only one fundamental right we have discussed, and that too I have given a short concept. Now you have to answer it after the class is over. You will be provided recorded video, so you have to answer it in detail about how many fundamental rights are there. First question. Second is you have to number it, right? Okay, this is first from which article to which article. Like for example, the first is right to equality. I'm just giving example. And you have to write it bracket में article 14 to 18 like this. So please write all the fundamental rights, okay, in one comment after the class over in the recorded format, because I want to know whether you know the concept of fundamental rights or not. Last thing I'm giving a homework is, because it is linked with the fundamental right, that is actually the teeth of the, I would say, the fundamental right, or the that article actually protects the fundamental right. So I'm saying this is an article X. Without this article X, there is no meaning of other fundamental rights. And please tell me, Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar had said something about this article. What was that statement? Why I'm talking about it? Because we have seen twice in the recent years talking about Bhim Rao Ambedkar, talking about constitution, morality, etc. in GK, and last year I think it was asked in legal section. So Bhim Rao Ambedkar's opinions are also very important. He was actually the father of Indian Constitution, or I would say the chairman of drafting committee. So you have to talk about it. And if you explain it little bit about what is Article X and explain it, there is a very famous concept of, I would say, I'm giving a little hint also, that the concept of writ petition flows from here. And if you tell me all the 5 writs, the constitutional writs, I'll be very happy to know. Okay. So this is actually the idea, the main backbone of fundamental right flows from this Article X. Okay. So we are stopping this class here. We'll be meeting you next Sunday, and most likely I'll be taking a live class there. So this is all about today's class. Please answer these questions because I'll be very happy to know. Please subscribe to our channel, press the like button, share this video. Thank you everyone. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.